Says 6:30, and I see that we have a quorum. So I will call the meeting of the City Council, City of Hillsborough to order. First item on the agenda is our consent agenda. Under consent agenda, we have vouchers totaling $404,267.07. Did everyone receive copies of the vouchers? Were there any questions regarding the vouchers? We also have minutes for our 10/18/2022 meeting. Did everybody receive copies of the minutes? Were there any questions, corrections, or comments regarding the minutes? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion. Oh, and we also have, excuse me, we have one other item under our consent agenda that's new. And that is the caustic soda purchase from Harcos Chemicals for $12,320. Mr. Stiles, any comments on that?
No, this is a late edition. It's our year-end chemical buy. We're kind of going through and doing that. This one exceeds the normal limit of 10,000, and so we're bringing it to you for approval on that. It's pretty typical, although I would say our chemical cost this year is about 20% more than it has been in the previous years. Just
because of inflation?
yeah, that's just cost. That's just cost. That's nothing to do with increased usage. So it's pretty rough right now for chemicals. So
Could be worse.
could be. Yeah. It could be. We have seen some things go exceedingly higher than that. So
Well, yeah. Okay, any questions regarding any of the items in our consent agenda? Hearing none, I accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Councilman Driggers moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman By seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our consent agenda is approved. It's now time for our first public comment opportunity. I see we have a couple students from Mr. Canol's senior government class. Welcome. Any comments you guys would like to make? Questions before we get started? Sure. This is your opportunity. I mean, you sat away from the camera. We could have got you on camera. That
true.
you've been easily proven that you were here, but we know you're here. Alicia, any comments? Okay. All right. Anybody online care to comment? Okay, we'll close our first public comment opportunity, and we'll move into our department head annual report. We have Mr. David Lockwood, head of our sanitation department, here to give his report. Mr. Lockwood.
Good evening. My name is David Lockwood. I am the sanitation supervisor. I'd like to talk about I moved to Hillsborough in May of 2019 to accept the position of sanitation operator. Prior to moving here, I worked for 9 years for the city of Flagstaff, Arizona, as a sanitation operator. I operated roll-off trucks, top load, side load, and rear load truck. As an operator, I was required to formulate and schedule all my own routes, inspect and maintain my trucks, schedule repairs to the trucks, and inspect, place, and remove temporary bins and dumpsters. One of the first things I did when I started here was to evaluate the current schedule and make new route systems for one truck, one operator process. As I did not yet know the town, I relied heavily on the streets department and city office personnel. The old system of 5 days of trash pickup required at least 2 people and the regular help of other city workers. Our new system gave us 3 days of trash pickup composing both residential and commercial, with 1 day of recycle and 1 day of exclusively of commercial pickup, requiring 1 sidearm truck and 1 operator with occasional help from 1 other worker using the old rear load truck. Currently, the city is divided into 3 zones for residential trash pickup and 2 zones for recycle pickup. This is an ongoing process, and I work to optimize the system. We currently have the 3 trucks the new truck.
Oh, sorry.
That's your cue.
That's my cue. Sorry.
This is our new truck and the newer sidearm rear load truck is being used for both residential and commercial trash and recycle pickup. Whenever repair or maintenance is required, we have no choice but to use the old rear load truck. That's a 2002 Freightliner Loadmaster. It's been used well and hard. Let's see where I was at. My goal is, hold on. The old rear load truck is currently in constant need of repair. I have some pictures. That was a patch job on the bottom. The whole bottom wore through. This is the inside of the truck. I got another picture of a repair. I believe it's on there. Is there one more?
No, that one.
But up inside, a lot of metal got bent recently and can't use it right now because the trash is coming out of it when we pack it in. So that's waiting to be repaired over at Joe's Fabrication right now. And a lot of the metal is deteriorating. That's what happened. The trash is hooking in it. And every time you sweep up, it's bending it, tearing it. And inside the bed of the truck as well, there's wear holes where it's attached to the frame. Holes are wearing through, so it needs a lot of work. And there's hydraulic leaks and multiple other things. My goal is to replace it with sidearm truck dedicated to residential pickup. Now, the very old truck, it's a 1988 classic. And it still starts, it still runs. The leaf springs are gone on the back. You have to carry a 4x4 with you to get it high enough to dump some of the dumpsters. You have to drive up on the 4x4s. But to me, it should probably be scrapped. It's pretty old. It starts to run, but does not have the features we need to pick up the poly carts, the trash or the recycle. The purchase of a used sidearm truck is not in the budget and would cost around $150,000. In the course of the past year, I spent time in the office with Karen auditing all of the commercial customer trash accounts, bins and dumpsters, just taking note of all the bin location sizes and charging accordingly has increased the sanitation department revenue by nearly $20,000 to date. As we change over to the new billing system, we are again checking, making sure that every commercial customer is being charged correctly. As a one-man show, I was working over 50 hours per week, going as fast as I could, and still did not have time to do anything but haul trash and recycling. I need help. I needed help on a regular basis. Trucks need to be maintained and repaired. Tires need to be replaced. Hoses need to be inspected, etc. Bins and dumpsters need to be inspected and repaired. We hired Weston Giesbrick in July. After a couple of weeks of training, he was up and running, working the routes. Having a second operator has freed me up to make scheduled delivery, poly carts and dumpsters, make repairs, and order parts and supplies. I'm working towards getting needed tools and a dedicated bay for the truck and repairs as a storage site for bins and dumpsters and hopefully an office. We recently had trouble at the recycle center when someone tossed flammable materials into the recycle bin. When the material was dumped, a fire started in the bed of the new truck. Our new operator, Weston, did a great job getting the fire off the truck and the truck away from the fire, saving the truck. But this illustrates why we need to make some changes at the recycle center. In addition to occasional flammable materials, there is often trash mixed in with the recycle. We find everything from furniture to paint and tires to carpet on a regular basis. This contaminates the recycled materials and adds to the tonnage of the cost. Matt Stiles and I have talked about the use of bigger, more explicit signage, installing security cameras, increasing lighting, and or closing the recycle center from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. and on weekends. I understand that keeping the recycle center open for use by city and county residents is important, and we want to make every effort to do so. However, as people are less likely to dump trash during daylight hours when others are around, I suggest closing the center during evening hours and on weekends. This should cut down on the illegal dumping. I have tried to give you some insight into how the sanitation department runs, what we need to keep operating, and how we hope to improve service to the community. Thank you for your consideration. Do you have any questions?
Thank you for sharing with us.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
How often does the illegal dumping over at the recycle center happen?
Every week,
Really? Wow.
every week.
We look to put in a camera.
Yeah, we have actually talked with 2S over there. They have some slots on their recorder that could accommodate that. And we've talked with Gary McLeod about putting some of that up. So that's something we can do. And that won't necessarily prevent anybody, but it could capture somebody in the act. But it's kind of difficult because sometimes when you just throw trash in there, it's hard to tell if it's one thing or the other. But when someone's throwing a camp, was it a camp?
Well, there was
propane?
a propane, the camping
Right.
propane tanks. Those were going off when the recycle was burning. Once it was on the ground, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is recyclable, but it's supposed to be empty.
Hmm.
And probably some of that stuff should be going to the hazmat down in
Mhm.
Marion.
Mhm.
That one could have been an honest mistake, but
Sure.
a lot of your other ones probably aren't.
No, I get boxes of rotten fruit. I get, yeah, regular trash, everything, paint. I've seen storage units emptied out between 4 cans. There was tools, come along, all kinds of stuff.
I live nearby, so I was just curious. I see traffic going in and out of that facility quite a bit. So I didn't know how often that illegal happened, but
I mean, if we close it up, we still could get illegal dumping, but they'll leave it outside the gate. It won't end up in the recycle bins.
Hmm.
But the biggest thing is the flammable stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just a couple chemicals mixing, and it starts a fire.
In your street pickup, how much stuff do you see sitting outside of the recycle bins that are supposed to be thrown in there?
As far as recycle, we don't, as far as,
Not recycle, I mean, the regular trash. I mean, I see, a lot of times I'll see pieces of furniture, I'll see other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just-
a lot of people still stick stuff out there to hope somebody will come by and take it and use it.
Mhm,
But other than that, I mean, it's usually left there for bulky pickup,
mhm,
and it's supposed to be at the last week of the month.
mhm.
But some of them put it out right after bulky pickup is already gone, and it sits out there all month.
Mhm.
And I try to get around to pick up some of that stuff.
Right. Well,
The extra truck that you need, what is it? Is it something that's it's still gonna do the sidearm, but is it gonna be a little smaller truck than the one you had, the new truck you have?
Yeah, you won't need the amount of tonnage, so it'll be a smaller truck. They make all different sizes in the tonnage. There's a single axle one I was looking at, but I don't know if that's gonna displace the weight any better. But and the main thing is it takes a lot of stress off the new truck we have now.
did you say
That's
that,
doing
did you
everything.
say that costs what, 150? 150?
Yeah, on average, if you want a decent one, because I mean, you can get them for
Right.
80,000, which is pretty
But
much.
then you'll be fixing it the whole
Yeah.
time.
And on up to whatever.
So what is the
Right.
availability of used equipment right now? Have you looked into that at
Yes,
all?
yes, I've been looking at some of that. The one with the single axle was out of Hillsborough County, Florida,
Okay.
but it was available at the time. So
Okay.
there's trucks available.
All right.
New stuff's not as hard to find. There's new stuff is probably
That's gonna be a lot.
18 months out at the minimum.
Any other questions for David? Thank you. That was a great report. Appreciate
Yes,
it very
thank you.
much. And again, commendation to Mr. Giesbrecht for his quick thinking and, really saved the city and the citizens a lot of money if that trash truck had burned up.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've seen them happen.
And again, it isn't that it isn't insured. It's just that where do you go get a new one?
Yeah.
Right?
That's the best thing we've been taught. I was taught that in Flagstaff. First thing you do is just close the truck up, suffocate it, get to an open spot, call the fire department supervisor and get it empty, get the truck away. So.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mhm.
sir.
You all have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, Now we're into our business items. First item up is pole attachment license agreement with Vive Eagle Broadband. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So when we changed the ordinance for pole attachments in April, we kind of set out to revisit our pole attachment agreements, and Vibe is the biggest client we have that uses those. And so we immediately put together an agreement for them and sent it off, and it's taken about 6 months to get one back, but what we have here is that agreement. It was actually drafted by Triplet Harrison, so we're pretty comfortable with it. The financial impact here, again, they have 636 poles. Previously, they were getting charged $1 a pole. Now it's $10 a pole. So was $636, and now it goes up to $6,360. We don't have any issues with this agreement. We're recommending approval tonight.
And Vibe's cool with it too.
It took them 6 months to be cool with it, to make adjustments to it, but yes, they are fine with
But I
it.
think it's good that we didn't go higher because as I thought about that more, I think it's good that we have some competition in town.
Mhm.
Because if we don't, whoever's been the provider is just gonna jack the prices, I think.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve the pole attachment agreement and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Councilman By moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Lowen seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now we have an amendment to the employee handbook to change recognized holidays. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So during our budget discussion, we talked about ways to improve employee benefits. And one of the things we talked about was adding 2 holidays to the list of holidays. One being basically Good Friday, the day, or the Friday before Easter, which everyone thinks we're close for anyway. And then we talked about a personal holiday that somebody could take at their discretion if their supervisor were to approve it. Essentially, it works like an extra vacation day. In order to do those things, we have to amend the city's handbook, which is the page that is amended is in the attached to this. It's pretty straightforward. There's pretty limited, direct financial impact of this. It's about $650 a day when everybody's out. And that's just, we have to have people on call. We have to do some different things with that. So it's not a terribly expensive thing to do. Of course, it's always nice to add a holiday or here and there to the staff's time off. And, again, I think the Easter holiday is pretty standard. We have a lot of people who want to take it off anyway. So, we're just here to see if I looks like I made a mistake in my copy and paste there.
That's
For
all
the
right.
recommendation.
We've already approved the poll.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about that full attachment. What we're recommending is the approving the amendment to the employee handbook, which adds those holidays, the Friday before Easter and the personal holiday. That wouldn't take effect until 2023. And that will put us at 13 holidays, I believe, if I counted right. And that's on par. That's actually one less than the county gets, and several less than the federal government gets. So we're making that recommendation today.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve the amendment to adding the holidays to the employee handbook. Councilman McCarty moves. And Councilman Driggers seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We now to designation of voting delegates to our KPP rate forum. Mr. Stiles.
Sure. So we tabled this at the last meeting. Councilman By was gonna check into his schedule and see if he was gonna be able to do that.
I'm going to be gone that week or that day. So, I've got prior commitments, so I will not be available.
So that leaves Mayor Thurston and myself going, and I don't know if Danielle is planning on going.
I've not planned on it, but if I need to, I sure can.
Fun.
Okay. well, sure. I should be fine with that.
So if what we'd recommend is to designate, I don't know if Mayor Thurston wants to be the representative here.
Sure, I can do that.
And then myself as an alternate. Be what we'd recommend.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to designate the mayor and city administrator as alternate voting delegates to the Kansas Power Pool annual members meeting in Wright Farm.
I'll make that motion.
Councilman By moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman McCarty. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now have Hillsborough Ford invoices totaling $1,990.52. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So these are all street department vehicles that needed to be worked on. We had the 85 Ford, which is one of the older trucks in our fleet, had to get a clutch replaced and had a brake line leaking. So that was the biggest chunk of this. The 2012 Super Duty Ford in the street department had a broken passenger seatbelt buckle need to be fixed. And then we had just an oil change on the 12. And all the multi-point stuff there. And then we also had the Ford Explorer for John Hubert, Police Department oil change on that as well. So that's what all of that comes to. $1,990.52.
There you go. Any questions? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve the Ford invoices totaling $1,990.52 for payment. Councilman McCarty moves, Councilman Lowen seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those abstaining,
Abstain.
all those opposed, motion carries. We will pay those bills. Mr. Stiles,
Handle this
okay,
item here.
very good. We have a quotation to deal with
Yes,
from EGW Utilities regarding something.
sir. This is a locator. This is what we use in the water and sewer departments to locate utility lines. We had ours fail. It's kind of important that we have a utility locator. This will be a modern locator. What we have is fairly old. And what we're doing right now is witching for those lines, if you're aware of how that works. It's kind of a unique process. So this will take us up into.
How good are we at witching?
We're not bad, surprisingly. We're not bad. Just depends. The new guys are not as good. Let's just put it that way. So what we have here is a replacement receiver, and then you also have to have a transmitter that goes with that. So the total here, it's non-taxable purchase. So the actual purchase price is $11,567. They've tried a couple of them out. This is the one that they have felt most comfortable with, that had the best features. It will be split between the water and sewer department.
Is it available?
It is available. They actually told us it would ship on the 22nd of November.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can we get a electronic wisher or they're not?
Electronic.
That's
I
what
think we gotta do
it.
it. It's kind of electronic wisher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This would be good.
this will be an improvement.
So what, is gonna come out of their CIP funds or?
Yeah, well, actually, it'll just come out of there, and we'll split it evenly between the two, and there's capital improvement equipment funds in both those operating budgets, and so we would just split those.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the purchase of the this thing?
Locator.
This locator.
I so move that we.
Okay, Councilman Lowen moves,
I'll second.
second by Councilman McCarty. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. This purchase is approved.
Go use it to find buried treasures.
Well, if it's got a locator, we could do it.
It might have been easier to find a witcher last night, but
Well, yeah.
that was bad. Sorry.
Oh, my.
Can you strike that from the records?
Probably not. It's too late.
Put that in that.
Okay. It is now time. That time in the meeting when we come to our city administrator's report. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sewer cleaning and inspection. It's been an interesting process. We've cleaned and inspected about 6,000 linear feet, and as of October 18th, at our last meeting, I kind of told the wrong area of town. I meant to say the northwest part of town, and I told you guys the northeast part of town. So we started over in the northwest quadrant. There is stuff on the northeast side that needs to be adjusted too, but it's not where we started, because this is the worst area of town. It's the oldest. It's clay tile line, which is it's lasted a long time, over 100 years in some places, but it has gotten quite a bit of failure, as it turns out. So there were two spots. There's a lot of point improvements that have to be done. So a point improvement is basically one spot where the line is either collapsed a little bit or is in need of a repair that's kind of localized. There were two spots that were completely collapsed. They had a low flow that was able to get through. I was surprised that we hadn't had issues with that. They were able to get a little bit through there, and it's residential, so apparently it was enough to make it go through. But those need to be repaired and completely replaced before they can be lined. The idea is that you can do these spot repairs and do these replacement chunks, and then you can line the whole thing. So we're in the process of looking through that. I haven't gotten the report back. The water department got it late today, and so we'll take a look at kind of what that needs to be done. But it was pretty clear from the cleaning that the whole system, at least those areas, it's been over a decade since they've been cleaned, and so we need to get that on a rotation too. Typically, what happens is you usually go in like thirds or quarters and do it every 3 or every 4 years. You do the whole system. We have not been doing that, and you can kind of tell when you kind of see these issues where these would have been addressed a lot sooner if we would have been doing that a little bit more. So what we'll do is we'll get the report back and get some recommendations put together on how we can move forward on taking care of this section, and then looking at next year doing another section and looking at that. So we do have a ticking clock with the KDHE consent order with the I&I, infiltration and inflow. We think that getting some of these things fixed will definitely reduce that. And we've been finding some cross connections in other parts of town too. So we're working actively to fix that and prevent any further action from KDHE, but it's something that we have to do in a timely manner, at least show progress on before the end of next year. So it's interesting. I was not expecting it to be as bad as it was in those areas, but it's definitely a maintenance issue that we've been kind of ignoring. So we'll make a plan to move forward with that and do something different. Dashboard report, attached that. We talked about it a little bit last time. So what you've got here is I basically broke down the general fund and then the utility funds and the sales tax funds so that you can kind of see those. Big sort of things there. We have fund balance targets, and I put a big box there that tells you how much days of cash we have on hand. Color coded it. So if we were, in the red, that means we're under our thing. If we're in the green, that means we're above it. In the yellow, I guess we would be close, but we didn't have anything in the yellow. So
Your color coding didn't come to us.
Yeah, it's
didn't come through.
No.
Oh, the scan. Okay. Well, the one on
That Dropbox.
one in the Dropbox. I can actually put it up if you want.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Okay. Fair enough.
You can
Yeah. So I put like the actual to budget and kind of give you an idea of what's remaining in there. Revenue wise, in the general fund, we're doing really well. So expenditure wise, we're kind of tracking where we should be. In our normal kind of progression, we have this sort of large bubble of expenditures that happens in the summer with the pool and golf and all those things. They kind of happen in the summer sports complex. A lot of things happen there, and then we kind of tail off at the end of the year. So you can kind of see in the general fund where we're at, budget to actual. The one thing we haven't really done, which is a good thing, I think, is we haven't transferred in all the stuff that we have in the budget. That has to come from other places like the electrical fund or the water fund, and we haven't done all those, and we don't plan on doing them if we can avoid it. We want to keep those funds healthy too. So 25 days cash on hand, not great, but it's pretty typical for us. That's not abnormal. If you move down to the water fund, they've got 89 days of cash on hand, which is just about the exact amount we shoot for in our target. With the utility funds, I actually put in a projected number in that chart. So that last bar in the bar graphs is projected. Not doing too bad, actually. Revenue wise, we're looking pretty good. Expenditure wise, we should be just under our revenue. Some concern areas there. We've got a lot of capital outlays. And I think part of that is just we had the issue with the water main or the water valves at the plant earlier this year. We've had some other things kind of pop up, and things have gotten very expensive to find emergency parts. So we do try to keep a pretty good stock on hand, but some of that stuff you don't have, like those big valves. So we were able to kind of keep that stuff moving forward. Oil and gas is a big concern. Oil and gas across all of our departments has been a big deal. Water department's no different. I would actually should put chemicals on there too. Like I mentioned before, they're up about 20%. We've been able to kind of manage that, but it's still more than what we had put in the budget. So it's just one of those things you're dealing with right now. In the sewer fund, we actually are really financially, the sewer fund's in pretty good shape. 282 days of cash on hand, which is really nice. Revenues are doing pretty well there. Expenditures tracking about where you expect them to see. The concerns there are the utilities and the commodities, which numbers don't appear to be showing up in this sheet for some reason. We're right on track for what I project there. I think we're going to be under on expenditure side, although with the cleaning and the lining project, I don't know what we'll end up with or what we could even get to at this point at this year. So we'll probably finish fine for this year, but we may have to look at doing some different adjustments next year. With the electrical fund, we do only have 22 days cash on hand, which is pretty low. We'd like to be somewhere closer to 760,000 is kind of what it is. If you look at KPP's target, it's closer to $1 million. So that is a little bit concerning. We will have enough to operate. I think we'll be fine going through the end of the year, but it's going to be a tight year in the electrical fund. From a revenue standpoint, we're about where I figured we would be, but our expenditure side is not where we want to be. And a lot of that is not driven by purchases of things internally, but it's purchase power. The purchase power cost has been crazy this year, and so we're like right now we're sitting at what I had in the budget at the end of September. We're basically where we figured we were going to be for the entire year. So still got a quarter to go. We're going to be way over on that, and so that thankfully we still have revenue to kind of offset that, but it's a big issue, big concern. This year's going to be tough. We looked at the projections that KPP gave us on the rate study, and Brooke will be here to explain that a little bit later in the year. But I think it gets better as we go through the years, and we're going to have to talk about what we want to do to position ourselves in that fund in the future. So when we look at the trash fund, they're actually doing pretty well. 107 days cash on hand. Revenue is up. David kind of mentioned that we had done the audit, and we had done a pretty good job of increasing that. It's about 10% just from identifying things that were misidentified in the system. And when we went back through and redid the recycling and trash rates. We had to go back through and audit all the trash for commercial customers, and there was actually about 67 commercial customers who weren't being charged at a commercial rate in recycling. And so that got moved over, and so there's a little bit of a difference there. So that actually looks like it's going to be working pretty well. Expenditures and revenue are basically going to balance out in the trash fund. Big concern there, gas and diesel. We are way over on that. That's like the main consumable on that. And we had budgeted was only about $9,000, and we're at 19, and we still have a quarter yet to run. So that's killing us. I don't, unless the price of diesel decides to go down after the election, I don't know. I don't think it will, but
There's a shortage of diesel right now nationally.
what,
We are at feedstocks of lower than they were they're as low as they were in 2008. So
So I don't anticipate that getting any better.
it's not.
And then we move into the sales tax. I put the normal kind of sales tax thing there. One thing to note, this month was lower as one of our lower months, but what has happened according to the state is that there was some issues with the disbursement in August. So we had a really high August. But the September, well, I guess it would be, we had a high September and a lower October disbursement. And it has to do with something at the state level. They got screwed up a little bit. And so there was more in the September disbursement than was supposed to be. So what you end up doing, they recommended is if you take those two, add them together and divide by 2, it's probably more what you should have gotten. So I don't feel too bad about that number. I think that averaged out to about 88,000. So we're moving pretty good. It's still on that. I'm still anticipating we'll be over $1 million in sales tax this year. About 24% over the previous year, which was the high year. And then the 5-year average, we're 47% over right now. So we're doing really well in that department. Have any questions about that dashboard? I'll have to get you the color version put in there. I don't know how that, we had to scan the packet because it was like 14 megabytes for some reason. But we can get that corrected. It's correct in the Dropbox, but questions on that?
I think it looks good. Pretty, really helpful.
Yeah.
Is there any other kind of data in there you would want to see, or
Seems like gas and diesel is the biggest problem.
it's straight killing us right now? Yeah,
It's killing everything.
yeah, it's pretty tough. It's hard to run a trash utility, especially without having that into consideration. So. Okay, so senior government class presentations. First one was at the rec commission about remodeling the sports complex bathroom. I think that went really well. We're actually talking about how we can kind of partner with the rec commission and the school district and or maybe Tabor to help do that project. So looking forward to that. We're gonna get some more scheduled, some to come to you guys. We may actually have Mr. Knoll. We have to schedule a special meeting to get Mr. Knoll's students in here because it's a little bit tricky with their schedule sometimes. So, but it's moving forward. Electric rate study, like I mentioned, when we talked about the electrical, we got that from James and Brooke the other last week. 22 is ugly. It's gonna be ugly. 23 is much better looking. I think we're still gonna need to do a rate adjustment. Kind of depends on how you want to position yourself. We started looking at the assets in the system. There's about $9 million worth of assets that we're depreciating. So we have to plan to replace those at some point. So we had to think about that. And then of course we've got fund balance goals. And we talked about a utility reserve fund to help kind of offset any of those unforeseen costs. So we'll have a little bit more to talk about once the rate form gets done. Brooke will update her spreadsheets and we'll bring her in and she can kind of talk to you about what she found. So that's coming up. Cost share grant from KDOT that would have done Adams Street. We did not receive that. It's the 3rd time we've been rejected for that grant. So it's probably time to rethink that strategy, I think. Not sure how we move forward with that. We'll also want to talk about how we want to move forward with our capital improvement plan on the roads. We talked about that at the last meeting. So now we're going to have to figure out how we want to approach that. Planning commission, we've had to cancel our last 2 meetings because we didn't have a quorum. So we're going to have a meeting on December 1st, which is a little bit outside of our normal rotation. We've got 2 cases to hear there. I just want to highlight that we have 2 open positions in the planning commission, one in town and one out of town. So if you know anybody, I think
Do you know anybody?
I know somebody, but we'll chat afterwards.
we need to get it would be nice to have those filled so that we wouldn't have to worry about margins and quorums so much. Last things I'll be on vacation the week of Thanksgiving. I'll be out of town, still available. And I'll actually be off on Thursday as well. Be in Wichita for the league lunch thing, but my son's having his tonsils taken out, so I gotta be there in the morning for that too. So, and that's everything I had, sir.
Any questions on any of that? A lot going on.
Always.
Saw we had another pour, hopefully getting down to the last of the street pours on Washington.
They're gonna open it tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Good to know.
glad to see that Adams Street finally got open. That went a
Yeah.
little longer than we anticipated.
Yeah, the contractor had to cut, when they had to cut into the street to do the sewer tap. And then it took them a little longer than they anticipated to get that backfilled and reset. So,
The building's really going up.
yeah, it is. It's moving pretty quick.
Now, if we could just get some roof joists
For our building, yeah.
for our bathroom.
Yep.
So I will confess that I was writing our contractor a bit this week and, you know, continuing to apply some pressure for whatever that's worth. Doesn't appear to be worth much, but you know, it's not gonna be from lack of trying on my part, I'll tell you.
Yep.
So I'm glad to see that we're gonna have Washington open, and
Mhm.
I'm absolutely thinking that, you know, if we are able to activate any water at that location, I'm gonna get very cold and in a real big hurry.
Think that might
But
be
my
true.
promise is my promise, and I will intend to keep it, so. One last thing, comment I'd like to make before we move on to our last public comment opportunity is would like to recognize and congratulate the Lady Trojan volleyball team for their win at state in Dodge City.
Yep.
And they went up against their nemesis from last year, who they turned into runners-up last year, and they took them in two very quick sets. So that was a great job by them and Coach Arnold and everybody involved. And we're going to recognize them more formally, hopefully at our next meeting.
Good.
So,
Great.
Two pretty good games.
Yeah. Okay, is there anybody else from the public have comments? No, I see no one online. So we will go around the room, see if there are any council comments tonight. Councilman By.
The only thing I was thinking of was trick or treat down Main Street was last night was well attended. A lot of people showed up, but that's all I got.
Councilman McCarty.
I had a thank you from a citizen because their street got fixed by the driveway.
Yeah.
He was pretty happy.
That's good.
Been doing some spot
Yeah.
repairs.
What's that?
Been doing some spot repairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councilman Mullen,
Nothing.
Councilman Dreers. Any other business that needs to come before the council? Hearing none, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.